Everything changes in a matter of seconds, right? The margin between a good season and a genuinely legendary one, it's completely razor thin. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the Houston Texans in 2026, a team that is standing right on the absolute precipice of greatness. But, as anyone who really follows the National Football League knows, having a phenomenal star-studded core, that's only half the battle. The rest? Well, the rest is about the agonizing, microscopic choices a front office has to make when the clock is ticking down, the stakes are unimaginable, and the pressure is just suffocating. We aren't just talking about the superstars you already know today. We're going on a deep dive into the hidden mechanisms of a championship roster. We're looking for the missing pieces that are either going to seamlessly complete the puzzle or leave the entire picture fractured on the frozen turf come January.
So what really separates a good roster from a Super Bowl champion? It's a single injury. It's a bad matchup. It's one missed assignment on a critical third down deep in the playoffs. Right now, literally behind closed doors, the Houston Texans are making the brutal, unflinching micro-decisions that will dictate their entire 2026 trajectory. Picture it. They're sitting in a war room, staring at a massive draft board, realizing that a Super Bowl isn't actually won by the first 11 guys on the field. It's won by the 53rd guy on the roster. It's won by the veteran who maybe plays only 12 snaps a game but gets the crucial strip sack exactly when it matters most. It's won by the special teamer who perfectly sets the edge on a punt return in the fourth quarter. Getting to the mountaintop means ignoring the outside noise and making cold, calculated, and sometimes downright ruthless evaluations about who stays and who goes.
Part 1. The Terrion Arnold Dilemma.
Our explainer starts with an incredibly tense situation currently unfolding in the front office regarding former 2024 first-round pick Terrion Arnold. It's a classic, incredibly high-stakes NFL conundrum. You have the collision of undeniable elite talent with profound off-field risk. Now, the Texans recently brought Arnold in for a physical, which sends a very clear message to the rest of the league. They are leaving absolutely no stone unturned in their pursuit of a title. But when you look at this whole situation, you really have to ask yourself, at what cost? Let's just look at the facts as they stand. Terrion Arnold faces severe June felony charges for kidnapping and armed robbery. These are grave, highly complex legal issues. We're impartially looking at how this impacts the team, and there is no denying that these charges immediately complicate his starting caliber talent. The front office has to weigh these severe legal issues against the cold, hard reality of their current roster, not to mention the intense, suffocating media scrutiny that inevitably follows a signing of this massive magnitude. It's a decision that could create a massive ripple effect, potentially altering the chemistry of a locker room that's been carefully built on trust.
Because here is the real, uncomfortable question the front office must answer right now. Is the risk actually necessary? Arnold is a boundary corner, sure, but he would be walking into a secondary that already boasts two elite options. In fact, if you look around the league, Houston's secondary is currently considered one of the best in the entire NFL, completely without his presence in the mix. They are a well-oiled machine right now. Defensive backfield play is all about unspoken communication. It's knowing exactly when to pass off a deep crossing route and trusting the man next to you implicitly. Bringing in a high-risk prospect, even one with that undeniable first-round pedigree, to an established elite unit, it's kind of like performing surgery on a perfectly healthy patient. The talent is tempting, absolutely it is, but the potential disruption to that finely tuned defensive backfield could be completely catastrophic when the playoffs arrive and the margin for error drops to zero.
Part 2. Elevating the air attack.
Okay, so if the secondary isn't the absolute priority for a late offseason upgrade, the spotlight immediately shifts to the other side of the ball. It shifts right to the franchise's most valuable asset, C.J. Stroud, and the weapons available on the free agent market to elevate his air attack. A quarterback, no matter how generationally gifted they are, needs an arsenal that can survive the grueling war of attrition reality of an NFL regular season. And this depth chart we're looking at brilliantly illustrates the intense competition currently raging in Houston's wide receiver room. Beyond your established WR1 and Nico Collins, you have an absolute dogfight on your hands. You literally have a dozen wideouts fighting tooth and nail for a 53-man roster spot. We're talking about guys like Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, Xavier Hutchinson, and Tank Dell. They are chomping at the bit for snaps. But while it is an incredibly exciting group, it's also a distinctly young, largely unproven group at the bottom of the depth chart. And you know how it goes in the playoffs. When the game suddenly slows down, the throwing windows shrink, and defenses tighten up, youth can sometimes translate to incredibly costly mistakes.
81. When I was digging through the receiver data from last season, this number completely stopped me in my tracks. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the number of receptions Keenan Allen hauled in last season, for 777 yards and 4 touchdowns with the Chargers.
Now, in the modern NFL, that is not just a statistic. That is a towering testament to absolute reliability. That is a seasoned veteran who knows exactly how to sit down in a soft zone. A guy who knows how to expertly manipulate a defensive back's leverage without relying purely on raw speed. And most importantly, that is how you become a young quarterback's absolute best friend, when the pocket is collapsing, the crowd is deafening, and the entire season is on the line.
Keenan Allen's proven inside and outside versatility could instantly elevate this young Houston air attack. See, the beauty of this is that he isn't here to demand 150 targets and stunt the vital growth of Tank Dell or Jaden Higgins. That's not his role anymore. He is here to be the ultimate safety blanket. Think about it. When a defense brings a heavy zero blitz and CJ Stroud has exactly 1.2 seconds to get the ball out of his hands, an inside-outside versatile veteran like Allen knows exactly where the hot read is. He acts as a concrete safety net. And speaking of veteran receivers and safety nets, well, this naturally brings us to a massive storyline that has been absolutely dominating the rumor mill all off-season. It brings us to the lingering ghost of Texans past, DeAndre Hopkins.
You really have to listen to his own words here. Entering year 14, Hopkins himself admits he isn't here to be the regular season superstar anymore. He recently stated, and I quote, "I'm a utility guy. I'm a special situation kind of guy. On third down, they're going to put D-Hop in." He is actively looking to be the absolute final puzzle piece for a competitor. He profoundly understands his current physical limitations, and he just wants to be the ultimate situational weapon. Now, for a passionate fan base that vividly remembers his incredible, acrobatic, one-handed catches in a Houston uniform, the idea of him returning to finish what he started is, frankly, nothing short of intoxicating. It feels like a movie script.
But here's the tough pill to swallow. We cannot build a championship roster on nostalgia. While a return to Houston feels cinematic, the reality is drastically different. Outside receivers like Higgins, Dell, and Hutchinson would directly eat into Hopkins' snaps. Because of his highly specific skill set at this advanced stage in his career, he would essentially become a redundant WR6 on this specific depth chart. Redundant. That is a harsh, unforgiving word in the NFL. But it's the cold reality of roster math. It would take a massive, catastrophic injury crisis for him to see meaningful, impactful snaps. So yeah, it's a beautiful story for the fans, but it's a roster reality that simply doesn't align with the Texans' current surgical approach to team building.
Part 3. Reinforcing the edge.
The answer to a championship run, as it almost always is in the National Football League, is found in the trenches. You win championships by violently disrupting the opposing quarterback, period. You need a stable of edge rushers who come in waves, exhausting the offensive tackles until they physically and mentally break. Look at Jadeveon Clowney's production, 8.5 sacks and 41 combined tackles in just 13 games with Dallas in 2025. For a rotational player at his age, that number is absolutely staggering. It represents one of the most productive stretches he has had in years. And honestly, it presents a fascinating opportunity for the Houston Texans to orchestrate a reunion that actually makes profound, undeniable football sense.
Because it's not just about the raw sack total, right? It's about the elite efficiency hiding right behind it. When you actually look at the snap counts, it really hits you. Clowney played only 44% of the defensive snaps in Dallas. He wasn't asked to carry the defense on his back for 60 minutes a game. By meticulously keeping his snap count managed, he excelled as a highly efficient run stopper and remained a terrifyingly productive pass rusher in limited action. Imagine bringing him in just to spell Will Anderson and Daniel Hunter, keeping him completely fresh to terrorize exhausted offensive linemen on a crucial 3rd and long in the 4th quarter. It is a total nightmare scenario for the rest of the AFC.
But elite front offices must always have a contingency plan. If a Clowney reunion doesn't materialize, there is a highly familiar, highly reliable fallback option right in front of them, Derek Barnett. Look at the sustained production here. 12.5 sacks in 39 games as a rotational piece right here on the Texans' defensive line over the past 2.5 seasons. Bringing back Barnett alleviates massive pressure on the edge room. It ensures the pass rush doesn't skip a single beat if someone goes down. It provides the gritty, unglamorous depth that turns a good defense into a suffocating, championship-caliber unit. And what does unglamorous depth actually look like? Well, it looks like fighting through a brutal double team on a 3rd and 2 in the freezing rain just to force a hurried throw. That is exactly how you win in January.
Part 4. The depth chart battles.
This brings us down to the absolute bottom of the roster. Because the truth is, every single roster spot matters. It trickles all the way down to the final grueling battles in training camp. Specifically, the final spots in the backfield behind your established 1-2 punch of David Montgomery and Woody Marks. Take a look at a player like Cam Akers. The RB3 and RB4 spots remain completely open in Houston. Now I know, these positions aren't glamorous. They won't make the highlight reels. They are built on special teams play, recognizing complex pass-blocking assignments, and stepping up when winter arrives and everybody is battered and bruised. Yes, Akers played only 6 games in 2025. He had 5 carries for a total of 19 yards.
I get it. On paper, it looks incredibly bleak. But he is entering his age 27 season, and most importantly, he is deeply familiar with Houston's building from his time there in 2024. What does an RB4 actually do on a championship team? It's about diagnosing a zero blitz in a fraction of a second and stepping right into the A-gap to protect your franchise quarterback. Cam Akers might only have 19 yards to his name from last season, but as a cheap, familiar veteran who already knows the playbook and the culture, he represents exactly the kind of gritty, low-risk depth a grueling 17-game season absolutely demands.
Part 5. The final verdict.
So let's pull back for a second and look at what this all means for the 2026 season. We've analyzed the high-risk gambles, the sentimental reunions, and the under-the-radar trench warriors. The Houston Texans are not building for a simple playoff appearance, they are building for a parade. And the architecture of a true NFL dynasty is built on these exact unglamorous microtransactions. Ignoring high-risk distractions like the complex Terrion Arnold dilemma and meticulously deploying surgical veteran upgrades like Keenan Allen, Jadeveon Clowney, or Derek Barnett is what transforms a really good playoff team into an unstoppable dynasty. It's about having the discipline to pass on the Hollywood storylines like a DeAndre Hopkins reunion to secure the unglamorous rotational pieces that actually win tough football games. These exact choices, who gets cut, who gets signed, who gets that crucial 53rd spot, that will be the literal difference between a stalled drive in the divisional round and hoisting the Lombardi Trophy under the confetti. The margin of error right now, it is absolute zero.
The clock is ticking toward Week 1, and the tension in Houston is palpable. If you want to keep tracking these incredibly high-stakes decisions with us as they happen, make sure you subscribe to our channel, NFL Nexus. Like this explainer if you value the deep dive, and drop a comment below. I want to know, of all the agonizing micro-decisions we just covered, what is the single missing piece the Texans absolutely must secure to guarantee a Super Bowl run? Is it Clowney's devastating edge pressure? Allen's reliable hands? Let me know down in the comments. And to support the intense, cinematic analysis we bring to every single roster move, become a channel member today. The 2026 season is going to be truly unforgettable. Let's watch it unfold together.